It's the weekend, needed some extra coffee, but feeling good about the video today. Today we're gonna be talking about this simple, mind-blowing one light setup called the Clamshell Lighting. And trust me, once you do this, it's gonna be super simple. This is a DIY video to do it at home. Very simple setup with one light. Clamshell lighting is one of those easy, classic, beautiful lighting setups that can capture the most outstanding headshots that you could think of. You see it all the time in like beauty portraits or fashion magazines and whatnot. So I know in most cases that there is a backdrop, there's a studio, but you know, if you're just getting started and you're trying to figure it out, I just kind of wanted to do a DIY here at home where we can play with some lighting, but the setting is pretty dang easy to do. And the easiest part about it is that you can do it with one light. Now I am going to be adding in just a couple pieces of equipment. Obviously we're going to need a flash, and because that light is on a stand, you're going to need some sort of flash controller. For me, what I'm going to do here is I got this reflector here. It has a silver lining, but you can get these in white, which work just fine. And then I'm also going to show you ways to do it with white surfaces. So in case you don't have that, you know how to actually make it work. And then of course my softbox. I have the AD200 up here. And in this case, I'm using a C stand, but you can use and get away with a general light stand that you may have at home. So the way this works is it's pretty self-explanatory. The light shines right out of the softbox and captures directly in front of your subject. So pretty much want this directly over the head so that you're getting the most splash of light on the face. Remember, we're not trying to make it harsh or anything like that, so you're gonna have to be able to compensate for that light here. So the reflector is gonna fill in the shadows underneath your chin line. You can really get away with it looking like a two light setup, but really it is a one light setup with a reflector. Now, one thing to keep in mind is when you are doing this light, you want to look for the catch lights in the eyes. That's going to make it look so much more beautiful, dramatic, but at the same time, it's going to give you that professional style when you're just sitting at home. All right, so for this first setup, I'm gonna be using my Sigma Art 24-70. I have my trigger on top of the camera and I'm using the A7 III. I'm gonna throw my settings up here for the portraits that I'm gonna be going. But right now, as you can tell, that there's no backdrop here. So really, I'm gonna try to bring in some ambient light, much like the MagMod behind the scenes video. If you haven't seen that, go check that one out. But we're gonna try to bring in some backlight here, some ambient light to help exemplify the subject. And then in the other tips that I'm going to show here soon, I'm going to do an actual backdrop, again DIY, and then a countertop surface where you can practice these clamshell lightings as well. Now, as you can see behind me, I've got my makeshift studio backdrop, and let me tell you, all I did was take some Savage paper, cut it, and then I used blue painting tape, tape that thing to the wall because obviously I'm at home trying to do a DIY. But now we're gonna try that more of a studio setup with more of a darker background to get some dramatic portraits here. And I'm gonna pop my settings back onto the camera here. Now, one thing to keep in mind is you're actually gonna wanna try to shoot your very first test image without the flash and try to get your background completely pitch black, because that's going to help you determine what kind of exposure you're going to need on your subject to make them stand out the most. This is more of a traditional headshot here. First picture here is with no light. I'm turning off the flash itself, and we're going to take that image here. Let me make sure that you know that my screen is on. I want to put up here on the screen how it is pitch black and you can't see the subject, and now we're going to be moving forward. All right, so one thing to keep in mind as I was going through this, you may want to adjust your lights here and there. For example, what you're looking for, if you remember from the first shot, is you want to find the catch light in the upper and the bottom light, because I am using this modifier. See that the catch light is not really prevalent in the top of the eye. So I actually had to move the light back a little bit so that more light is coming directly into her face. and that's where you're seeing those catch lights start to appear. All right, so for the last little bit of this video is, well, what if you don't have a reflector? What can you do? What I would recommend is finding some sort of white surface, whether that be cardboard that you can get at like an art store, or if you have any sort of like mirror that sometimes works. In this case, I have a white countertop, so rather than having the reflector actually on there, I'm gonna have my wife lean over the counter here just a little bit where I'm able to take that photo, and you'll start to see it won't show as much of a catch light, but it does help. All right, so that's it. Clamshell lighting is literally one of the best lighting setups that you can do. It is so easy, especially if you only have one light. Now remember, the reflector is not that expensive, something to add to your kit, and it will definitely make your portrait stand out tenfold, for sure. So next time you're out there doing portraits, throw in the clamshell and see what happens. And if you found this video helpful, I invite you to leave some comments down below, share with the community. Love to get your feedback, and thanks for watching. We'll see you next week in the next video.